So it is 100 days, 100 speakers, international experts and speakers. Okay. पापा से पूछ लो देवांशी प्लीज यहाँ से मुझे पापा को पता नहीं है बता दीजिए. Okay, so here how we have divided every day into different areas of life. Starting with every Saturday, it's on entrepreneurs, business startups, ideas with Faisal and Anjali. Then every Sunday we have fun and family relationship with Sudeepa and Nena. So Monday it's with me and on money and finance with me and Devakar. Tuesday, we have online digital entrepreneurship with Yash and Shana. Every Wednesday, we have personal growth, learning and development with Rajiv sir and Sena. Career employment organization development, we have with Rahul and Benita. Then we have on Friday, health, fitness and spirituality, develop core of health and well-being with Ms. Midun and Arva. So there, in case if you want to be a sponsor with us, you want to get on the, reach out to our community for any professional help, for sponsorship, to float your programs, to float your services and products, you can contact us on these numbers, or you can contact any of the team members. These are the details with us. And you can note down, or you can contact anybody in the team for that. So that's how we help people in grooming their business. We have our open Facebook group, Life with Brainciti, where we have every Wednesday free promotions of their products and services. So it's budding, it's going, and it's a Dubai-based company. So you get a lot of exposures with a community of UAE and across 9 countries. So here I am. I'm a director with Brainciti and a transformation and a business consultant. Anybody can contact us through our social medias, any of the members' number. I'll be sharing our WhatsApp connects. Do connect us. So here we have a dynamic person with amazing experience, Pushkar Srivastava. He's a director with IQter Consulting Services, a person with a lot of experience, expertise, whether you take it finance, research, logistics. So as he mentioned, he is into international logistics and with a lot of connects and experience and HR hands-on consulting also. That's what he does. So thank you so much, Pushkar, for joining us. And it's amazing to have you on our platform. And it's over to you now. Thank you so much.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks, Nidhi. Thanks for inviting me. And it's a pleasure to be on this platform with all of you today. I have put in about 2.5 decades of experience in corporate, both in public and private sector in human resources. It was in 2014 that we started IQTurf Services, and we are in analytics, and we've recently started a new startup in the shipping arena, giving a platform to supply chain suppliers in helping them to come to a platform to sell products to the shipping companies, to the ships that call on ports in various parts of the world. So why I did this topic today is because I think so during the pandemic, as you mentioned, that Brainciti also started its initiative in the pandemic period. I felt it is important to share an experience of delegation and how crucial it is for any team to be successful, that the leaders in the team start delegating. Teamwork is always preferred, by any organization as practice in achieving the goals to be successful. I'm sure you are from the business transformation area, and you have answered this issue with a lot of your clients. Teamwork is the foundation for all successful management. Let us be very, very clear. There's a lot of research that has happened in the business world, And it has been proven that when teams work together, they deliver excellent performance. And examples are there: the NASA launching of satellites, ISRO launching of satellites, Ferrari making a best cars, and new products coming out is all part of synergy which comes out of people who work in teams. And teams can vary from 2 people to 25 to larger teams. They all are successful. Now, one of the important tasks that the teams do is they have repetitive nature of work. There are tasks which require creative inputs, and team members have fixed role in the team that they are working. The most important aspect of a team to be successful is that everybody works in unison. Now, where does delegation come in? Let me ask one of you, whoever wants to answer this, which is the biggest example you have seen in last 1.5 years, where teams have worked in an excellent fashion? Would you like to share, Mr. Abbasi?
Yes, sir. So, Pushkar sir, so I mean, in the software development, that's I mean, like a
So,
very,
yeah,
certain case where one has to delegate. So, from the program management to the project management to
yeah,
the, the senior management,
yeah, absolutely
everybody has to, kind of delegate it and delegate it effectively, not just delegate it, right? So, delegate it
yeah,
so that it goes downstream, cascade
correct.
it properly,
Yeah,
and it becomes effective. So i
certainly.
will i will like I kind of tell it in one word, that it has to be a effective delegation, not just a
Okay.
delegation.
Okay. One of the examples which I thought of sharing as a part of teamwork and delegation was during the pandemic, we all saw the medical fraternity, the frontline workers who came to the fore and kind of did their job so well that it showed to the world that when teams work together and the chain of command is given in a proper fashion, people can be successful and we can meet the biggest challenges. Yes, we lost lives, we lost our frontline workers, we lost doctors, nurses, etc. But they certainly demonstrated a classic example of teamwork to ensure that things fell in place, people were treated, and they were given the right treatment. Now, all this led to some kind of research in the business world, and specialists started understanding what is it so special about managers, entrepreneurs who are very successful in the business world. I'm sure if I ask somebody in this group, how did it feel when you were asked to manage people? What was the thought that came in your mind? What would you like to say? One word. How did you feel when you were asked to manage people under you? Anybody would like to share?
It's a lot of responsibility, it's a stress.
Very, yeah. Stress, the word stress. Why was there stress? Because it was scary. How will
Yes.
my team treat me? Will they make me happy, or will they try to overpower my thoughts and actions? Will they make it? I'm sure all of us felt scared. I felt scared when I handled my first team, and I was kind of a superior and I had people reporting into me. So it was a scary fear in the mind that when I was handling people. But however, one of the things that I learned in the process of managing teams was that if you imparted correct instructions, gave clear instructions to the subordinates, and told them what was expected out of them, then I think so there was a positive impact that came in the team. And something which has happened in over a period of time, there are 12 competencies that have been identified in a research which every manager and entrepreneur needs to have in today's world. Now, if I put it in the sequence, which is of course not a priority list, but something which has been published, and it has been published in a very good journal. It talks about supervising others is one of the competence. Number two is conflict resolution. Number three is emotional intelligence. There's a lot of talk happening about emotional intelligence today. They're talking about mental health. People are talking about stability in your fitness. People are talking about wellness. But emotional intelligence has been identified as one of the competence that managers need to have. The fourth is that everybody of us is focusing is on communication skills. And fifth is how do we manage performance of members in the team. The sixth one, which has come out interestingly, is interviewing skills. I, as a manager or an entrepreneur, should be able to interview the people properly. I've been telling this in my, I have also witnessed, I have been part of many interviews. We do not know how to interview people. We are not good listeners. I think so. One of the competence that we need to develop is to listen to the person who has come for the role and really get out from him or funnel the information that is required for the job. Is he the right guy I'm going to pick up for the role that I have in my organization? So I think so. It's very crucial whether, I mean, you are coming from a technical field, there will be people in this audience today who would be from non-technical field. So every one of us has to develop this competence of interviewing skills. The seventh one is team building. Another important aspect is I don't have to stress, but successful organizations have built excellent team over the period of years, and they have been very successful teams. And the eighth one is delegation, which I picked up today to discuss in great length. Delegation is an important competence that managers and entrepreneurs need to have. The ninth is change agent. 10th is coaching, as a lot of you are business coaches on this platform. Very important competence that managers need to have today. And the 11th one is problem solving skills. You have to resolve problems. Problems have to be resolved over in an organization. You will face problems with each and every member that has to be resolved. And the last is motivating others. Am I motivated to take my team together, and can I motivate others in my team? So these are in general the competences that are required for any manager to be successful in an organization and therefore create a positive impact in the bottom line of the organization. Why are we there in business? We are there to make our profits, and that is something which we need to ensure by creating and harnessing these 12 leadership competencies that we need to have. Now, coming to the topic of delegations, why is it important? All of you will agree that organizations are increasingly becoming complex. They are becoming complex because duties and responsibilities of the workforce is becoming very, very less defined. We do not define, job descriptions are there, job roles are there, but I don't think so there is a focus by the managers or the leaders to really define what is expected out of that role. Am I clear that the tasks and responsibilities that are given to me are coming to me in the right fashion? The communication gaps are there, and that is why duties and responsibilities get very, very fudgy. And this leads to a lot of confusion in the minds of the employees. Anyone who has managed projects understands the importance of delegation. Let us understand this very, very clearly, that if you have managed projects, Mr. Abbasi did mention that in his earlier discussion, and I am sure he is the person to share in this platform. The software industry, the project management side people do excellent delegation of tasks and activities. That is why they are very successful in churning out new products and programs to their clients on time or with less errors. I think so they do that very well. Delegation helps to develop employees and team members. Why? Because gradually you are increasing the job responsibilities and accountabilities of team members. And that's very crucial. So, Mr. Abbasi, would you like to share something? How do you did it? How did you do it?
Yeah. So just one more point I just want to kind of share.
Please. Yeah.
So you see, manager is not such an esteem. If you see the leadership point of view, right? For example, like a manager is doing his job because he has to get the work done from the people, right?
Correct.
So he is there for that reason only. If you see that is a the prima facie role of the manager. But if you consider the difference between manager and the leader, like you see, the leader is not just kind of expecting some kind of a return from the the subordinate. He is developing the subordinate, So he is creating altogether a new kind of a new kind of a skill in a person. He is much more than manager. He is altogether a different kind of a role. Like, if you see, that person will be, kind of doing a lot of hand holding. He will be supporting the the subordinates, do a lot of peer support. And that is how I look at it, because just if you consider from the business acumen perspective also, what is the great thing about managing? If you just have to put it that way, because here he is getting the work done from the others, but he is not developing the subordinates in the entire process. So in the software also, software development, just to answer your question, is like, this is what happened. I have seen in my almost 22 years. I have seen so many projects I did, from starting from the mainframe in 1996 to 1998, when the Java became a very popular platform for development and all. So I've seen so many people. The manager's importance is felt as long as the project runs. The moment the project starts, kind of the client satisfaction index is CSAT, instead of A, it is B or C or something like that. When it drops, then everything gets affected. So not even the manager's esteem is there anymore. That is like kind of a person who is coming, stepping up, and he is taking next step of a very big kind of a stride, who is doing a lot in motivating the team, keeping up the motivation, hand holding, do anything possible for the entire team. So that is what I feel is more is considered more of a kind of a a role of a delegation, doing a effective delegation, rather than just for the person who just want to get his work done as a manager.
Okay. So you are saying that manager is not delegating to that extent what a leader does? Are you
Yes,
trying to?
yes,
Yeah.
and not only that, even the what I'm saying is, the leader has to be more empowered than the manager, because he's developing the people. He's not
Leader
just
has to empower his manager to become more effective. So we'll
correct.
look at these points which you have certainly raised. So basically, if you look at defining delegation, it involves entrusting another person with task for which the delegator remains ultimately responsible. So what do we mean here? That if Nidhi is a leader, and she is going to delegate tasks to her team members, ultimately the responsibility lies with Nidhi. She has to ensure that she gives the task to her subordinates in such a fashion, but takes the responsibility of ensuring that it gets executed on the timelines that has been decided, and ensure that she is answerable to the leader or to the board for the task that they have entrusted on her. So I am responsible as a profit center or a business manager for the profitability of that operations, to ensure that I get things done on time. But I'm probably giving some tasks to my team to execute these things, and entrusting them with the responsibility of executing it in the right fashion. So I'm sure you will agree with this kind of a definition. And in practice also, this is the way it happens in organizations, and it will continue to happen. Delegation can range from various things. It could be an appointment, as in case of a software industry, of a leader to develop a software or a new product in the organization. It could be number of smaller tasks that are broken out, which are routine and repetitive in nature. Like, for example, if you have visited a shop floor, an assembly line, it's a highly repetitive nature of work. From a human resource perspective, if you look at a payroll activity or a time office activity, it's highly repetitive nature of work. So those are the kind of things that are to be delegated in a routine fashion, so that you make yourself available for higher responsibilities, and you have enough time to manage bigger and larger issues of the organization. The basic issue that is involved in delegation is two things. One is giving autonomy, and second is having control. You do give autonomy, and you are the person who is going to decide how much authority is to be delegated. And to exercise this, let me take a classic example. How many of you have got caught on a traffic light when you have jumped a signal? What happens? You tend to convince the policeman that you are not wrong, and he brings out the camera and tries to take a photograph in today's context. But some years back, he didn't have the authority to take away your license. He did not have an authority to take your license. He could take the details of it and give it to the nearest police station, so that challan was issued to your home address and you had to go to the court and pay the fine. Okay, that is the way. So the superintendent of the police of the city had delegated the authority to fine you for any uh, non-conformance you did on the road, but he did not have the authority to collect the fine. He could, at some stage, it was changed when he would issue a challan and issue a ticket and collect the fine also. And that's where things started going wrong, and the government realized that we have to move to the digital side. So now please try to understand that when you delegate, how much of authority and control you want to give to the person you are delegating to. That's an important concept and an important thinking that needs to go. And tasks that are selected, the parameter of each task should be clearly defined. So when I delegate something, I should be very clear in telling the person what is expected out of this activity and how much of it he or she can take as a load or as a assignment to do that. It should not cross the, what we call in a very linguistic Indian languages, Lakshman Rekha. Don't cross the boundaries. Don't exceed the authority that has not been given to you. So some things that has to be kept very much in mind is that autonomy and control has to be managed very well while you are delegating. That is the fundamental thing which you need to understand. Now, understanding the stages of delegation. First is analysis of the task that you are carrying out. It's important to analyze what are the things that am I going to do, and for that, on a very classic example of what Mr. Abbasi said, that the manager knows what he has to really get out of his team, and he's only executing what is expected out of the software development part of it. Yes, so that means the manager in a software industry is very, very clear what all needs to be delegated, and he's clear who's going to write the code, who's going to test it, who's going to see the bugs that are there and test the QA department will be taking charge the next way. So the tasks are very, very clearly sorted out. Second part of delegation is appointment of the right person. Naming the person to whom tasks will be delegated, whether that person is fully capable. Now, I may have a team of 2 people, I may have a team of 5 people, but within that set of people that I have, I should be able to identify the right person who will execute the role and whether that person is capable. For example, in a team of 5, if you have a person who is less experienced and does not have the bandwidth to take charge of the task that you have thought, then it is not right to delegate the task to him. Give it to the best person. If I don't like Mr. X, because of some reasons, I may have my perceptions, I may have an halo effect, I should not bring those at play. It is the capability, potential, and capacity of the person which should take precedence over anything that happens in terms of delegation. And it should not be that the person who is less experienced gets those tasks. So I think so that's very, very crucial. The appointment of the right person to carry out the task is an important part of the delegation. Briefing the person, sufficient autonomy has to be given. When I say autonomy, there has to be very, very clear instructions to the person that this is what A, B, C is something that you need to do. D is not part of your scope. So that clarity has to come. 1, 2, 3 is things that you need to execute, but D, the fourth one, is not in your scope. Control. Monitoring and appreciation is crucial. When you delegate, it is important that you monitor, but it is also important that you don't interfere. Don't do micromanagement. The moment I give something at 5 o'clock in the evening. Before I leave home, I go and check whether you have done it or not. Don't be a school teacher or a principal. Do not interfere with that activity. But if there are things which are not going the way it is happening, coaching comes in play. Become a coach. Coach the person how to do it and help him to come to a solution and ensure that he or she is able to execute the task that has been assigned. And if he or she seeks help, help should be given. Last one is appraisal. You have to review what the person has done. And it is important how well the delegate has performed the role is very, very crucial. I and you like to receive feedback, and feedback in terms of whether I am doing it well or whether I am not able to do well. It is very clear that when you delegate, you have to appraise, monitor, and give feedback. And if changes are required to be made on both sides, when I say both sides, the person who is delegating and the person who has been delegated, both have to go through some changes. There is a course correction required if things are not going the way it was expected to happen. There may be a negative impact if corrective actions are not taken on the right time. So appraisal is a very important activity as a part of delegation. Any questions anybody has as of now?
Yes, I do have.
Yeah,
Now,
go ahead.
when it comes to leadership, few
Hmm.
people follow rules, they work professionally. But few people, rather than having direct communication with the team, they make it very indirect. Like they will try to take the feedback from the third person, or they will get into micromanagement of, of whatever's said and done. And in few companies, I have also seen one thing. They get very typical about teamwork not building up,
Hmm.
rather than they believe on less communication, serious environment. And it's a very common problem with the challenge what the mediocre SMEs are facing, because they need to come out that from the family business thought process to a professional work environment.
Hmm. Yeah.
So how do you suggest, like, such companies, how do first the leader need to be changed? Because the CCTV cameras are one way, it's good to keep the security on, but on the other way, when I've seen few leaders who focus so much into it that they uh, they lose the focus on work.
Yeah. Yeah, see, here I would go to Mr. Abbas's point about leadership. He was talking about leaders being not empowering the managers. I think so, Nidhi, one of the important point which comes in play is developing a culture of openness and trust. See, you are very right that if I don't trust my team members, if I don't trust my co-workers, if I don't trust the organization managers, then I don't think so delegation can be a part of it. And when we talked about those 12 competencies in the beginning, certainly there was something which we said was motivating others. I think so the most important part is that I create an environment or an ecosystem in the organization which allows people to freely talk openly about issues and concerns and also be part of the decision making process. Now, for example, CCTV, you gave an example, it is there to monitor probably the security aspect. But how do I convey to my team or team members that this is not meant to monitor your man hours of productivity on the job? See, the perception that I might have when I come into the organization while my onboarding is going on, that there is a fear factor in the organization. I'm being monitored continuously. Has that fear factor been removed by the leadership of that organization, which says this is only for managing the security of the services, not managing your productivity? So I think so creating a culture of openness and trust is very, very crucial. Then only these things become successful. And that can only come through communication, no politicking, ensuring that transparency is there. I don't go BCC kind of communication on emails. I don't indulge in getting feedback from third person without the knowledge of the person whose feedback I'm obtaining. That is something which is a typical no, and it should not be encouraged as a part of a process. Unless that openness and trust comes within the organization, I don't think so we will be successful in bringing this concept in teamwork. That's
So in
my
some of the software development projects, this is what happens, and you are rightly saying, sir, that it depends on the culture what is being
what
set
is
into.
yeah,
Right?
yeah, and it starts
But
from your
I have seen, like, even if for the mid level to the senior level, when they do the PMO, the performance management, the appraisals. So, like in the beginning, you will see that these are the 2-3 people who are going to review you throughout the year. But then if you see altogether, some different person is giving you the feedback. I have seen in so many projects, it happens like this, that he has no direct reporting line, or he is not even a part of your day-to-day routine. He might be somebody from the business side, who has a very strong hold on the entire, IT being a cost center, they being the profit center. They might be, driving few things. And that is how, I've seen in most of the investment banking product development, this is the case. It is somebody who is not, maybe not a direct reporting line to you. Still, that person, I'm just telling from the employee point of view, from the, the subordinate point of view, that it is not justifying when there is somebody who has not been put into your PMO on your, nobody appears on your roadmap. That kind of person is giving the feedback at the end of the year, during the appraisal reviews and all. So this is also one of the thing. The transparency has to be there for the, for the receiving end, also for the employees also. So that can be set only by the open culture in the organization. If they do something like this, it means just that they don't want to give a good rating to the, the performing employee. This is simply the,
yeah,
the.
yeah. I agree. What you said, absolutely right.
And
Slight,
it further results
yeah,
into demotivating, because looking at
yeah,
that managers and that leaders example, other person will feel also like the same thing, that
correct,
they are
correct.
creating a demotivating environment rather than encouraging the proper culture.
Yeah, now that's a challenge. That, see, when I spoke about the 12 competencies, they are basically talking about the same thing. They're all hinting towards, or I would say the focus is that we build a uh, trust and loyalty based organizations and a value based organization. What you say just now is slightly the kind of value system that organization practices, but I'm not, since we don't have the all the facts, I would not comment on that, and it's slightly away from the current topic. But certainly from what Nidhi said is absolutely right. It needs a lot of trust, it needs a lot of openness. And yes, then if such organizations are existing, the culture practices are existing, this area of work or this competency will not be successful. Let's accept it. Delegation requires a lot of openness, it requires a lot of trust in your employees, and it requires a lot of loyalty from the employee side to their superiors, that yes, I own this organization, I'm doing it for my organization. That sense of ownership has to be there in the people towards this aspect, then it becomes very, very successful. The benefit, of course, is you streamline your workload. Nidhi, how much time do we have now?
We have 15 minutes.
Okay, so let's have this. We have enough to discuss in 15 minutes. Delegation has number of benefits. It certainly streamlines your workload. I think so. You have something where you're talking about health and stress as part of your discussions. I would relate it to that. It streamlines your workload, and it increases the amount of time available to you for other managerial skills. Like, you may be involved in a project development, you may be involved in planning something new for the business, that it gives you that time. And the biggest advantage of delegation is the team feels motivated and more confident. That I have been, there is a concept in HR which is called as job enlargement and job enrichment. These are all organizational behavior concepts, but that comes to real play when you do delegation. People feel motivated. Yes, my boss has found certain potential in me. He feels confident, and that's why he has given me more responsibility. So that's an important aspect. The third aspect of delegation is it reduces stress levels. Everything is not on my desk. See, a lot of people say that managers whose desk is clear has got a lot of time, and he is probably managing his productivity very well. And it's an important part to note. Increasing your time, is very, very crucial in work. And one of the important aspect is set aside enough time for yourself for concentrating on long-term projects. We end up doing a lot of repetitive type of work at workplace. We end up wasting a lot of time in meetings. uh, Even meetings can be delegated where you feel it is not important for you to really attend. Can I send my subordinate to attend this meeting and brief me later part? And if I am required, can I come in for a few minutes, pitch in and close the topic? So even meetings can be delegated, and more routine work must be handed down to subordinates. And that is the real form of delegation. Give yourself more time to do really creative and long-term projects for building up the business. And also, when you, as an employee, I mean, some of you have worked, and most of you, I don't know how many of you on this platform are working currently. You feel a sense of achievement, when you are given responsibility. Let's be honest about it. When our parents gave us some responsibility, we felt a sense of achievement that my father or mother has given me this job. When he or she feels that I can carry it out and execute it, I feel a sense of pride. And the same thing goes in a job. When I am given some kind of responsibilities which is over and beyond my job role, I feel a sense of achievement, and it contributes to my confidence and abilities. It brings the job satisfaction in me, and I feel happy about it. I think so. This is one of the most important aspects of delegation, that you make your team members feel motivated, and a sense of pride comes in them when they are given higher responsibilities and duties. As Mr. Abbas said, it's an empowerment that happens, and that's a mainspring of a better work life in an organization. So when I
And
get my
another thing I just want to add here, in the specific to the software development is, because it's a lot of technical kind of abilities one has to demonstrate, including the leader, the
yeah,
manager, right? So one is expected that before delegating, he himself has proven himself. Like for example, manager cannot be just a manager who is non-technical, who just do the the project management just by looking at the Gantt chart and hundreds of the spreadsheets and things like that, right? So
yeah,
one, before doing a delegation in a software product development kind of environment, he himself has to first demonstrate his understanding of the technology, his understanding, his strength, like what all things he knows. And then maybe he can effectively then come to the delegation where he says that he has proven himself, he has a very good hold in the technology, he can solve the problems, basically the analytical part and the problem solving skills, right? So only just the management skills is not going to matter. I mean, this is what I have seen. Like some people who just say that we are BMP and we can only just do the project management bit, but they cannot help the team in any way. They can't help the subordinate. Once delegated, they just expect that the work has to be done anyhow. You know, so that is something which I have seen. This is a very, very big kind of like kind of you can say between the subordinate and the manager, a very big kind of kind of you can say some kind of a friction happening all the time. That is why the people leave the project. That is why some people appreciate the project because of the managerial and technical skills both. This is what happens most of the times.
okay. I think so. These are some barriers which are there in delegation. I accept your point on that. But if the delegation is not working, yes, sir.
Yeah, what I want to say, whatever Abhijit says is very nice. Absolutely fine that he or she has to know the job and then only it can be delegated and this one. That's why, we very loosely we can say the era of management is over. It is a leadership today. And when somebody is a leader, it means that domain expertise has to be there with him. If I cannot do it, I cannot do something, I cannot expect from a subordinates to do that. So one as a so-called leader, he has to be felicitator and at the back and try to once he identify that okay so and so can do that, empower them even with the needed skill sets and other to perform. So that the whole responsibility gets shared and everyone feels that way, and that team spirit when it comes, that is the real leadership today, and especially in the new normal what we are now talking and doing it, there are more challenges or different type of challenges that should be well aware and work can be distributed accordingly. It's very fine, absolutely fine, but the major responsibility lies with the leader, no doubt about it, but the portion of that with the specific domain very well identified, specified, and duly supported, then the things will work very well. And that's what the real challenge, and that's a real leadership. It is there. With the time bound, this and that, and all those things, we have to be critically able to do it.
Pushkarji, like you had been also into business coaching. So just one suggestion. Now, when we, the first thing when it comes to coaching, you enter the company, you understand the culture, you understand the environment. And sometimes it is the person who wants a change in the company is the person first he needs to change to bring the change in his company or her company. A lot of people, they think once you're delegating the work as a consultant, I am free, Basically, it has to be a joint responsibility with the consultant and with the person. When we handle such mediocre, 50 to 100 crores, company turnover. So this is a basic challenge. What I've seen, one, blind trust on the old employees, where they don't want to welcome any new person, and therefore new persons, what do you say, churning is very high because of the environment. And the other thing is the companies also from last 10 years, they are just rotating between 80 to 100 CR. That's their turnover. And from last 10 years, they are not able to grip up whether, even if they are 50 years old company. So how to make a people understand without hurting their ego? Because sometimes ego plays a very major part, because as a consultant, you don't know, you don't want to do buttering, right? So there's a different culture when you want to set up a professional culture, but at the same time, these are as a consultant you face challenge.
Okay, one of the things is, that has really challenged such organizations is how much of feedback has the leader been able to accept? Have you shown him the mirror? That is very important. What do employees feel about the leader? And it has to be in the real sense. It has to be very, very confidential and not used as a tool to hammer employees, that I come to know that, okay, assembly line has given me this feedback. So the assembly line manager is most crooked chap in my organization. He should not try to get into the data, how it has emerged from the various departments. He should look at the bigger picture. What do people perceive me as a leader? Number one. Number two, what do my employees really feel about my style of management? If that person is ready to see the mirror.
Carefree. That's fine, carefree. And another thing, when it comes to manufacturing unit, the stability of a worker is important, because that hampers the quality of the product.
Correct. Absolutely.
Whereas on the short term, they focus on the costing of being low. But on the other hand, the quality is going low,
down,
due to which the rejections are going high.
Yeah.
and your date of consignment of delivering is getting largely impacted. Where they, if you show a mirror also, because I'm a little professional in the sense, but at the same time they take it personally, and it's a basic challenge. What I want to convey, this is for your betterment, this is not for my betterment, this is your company, you will grow.
Yeah, absolutely right. See, you can take the horse till the pond, and finally, to drink the water is the horse's job, as this I always said. And the most crucial part of this change that has to happen in an organization is the leader has to be the change agent. I will change myself for the purpose of improving my organization and for the growth and benefit of my people as well as the stakeholders. If he takes that into his what should I say, vision mission statement, rather than those flashy
No mission
language.
statement, they don't
No,
want to
no,
see only.
they don't want, I know, because it has failed over the period of time. But if he is the person you can convince that, sir, the change starts at the top, it is a top down approach. When you will do this, people will follow you, and the leadership will come only when you change and show the path to us. Then we will happen. I'll give an example which happened in 1994 with us. The union was there was a cost control dictum that happened, and the union went against the management and said, nothing doing, we will not adhere to it, because the chairman of the company goes by taxi to Bombay for meetings. So we will not accept anything that is coming out from the chairman's office. So Mr. Chairman called the people and he said, how did you make this statement that I'm going by taxi? What proof do you have? They said, sir, the driver knows us and he tells us that you went to Bombay on so and so date and you went by taxi. So he said, okay, are you sure? He says, call the driver. So the driver came in and he said, sir, I have never said this. So they said, no, you told us outside. He says, no, I have not said that. I went to drop sir to the bus station, and Mr. Chairman produced the bus ticket that he traveled from this place to Bombay by a bus. He said, see, if I have to do something, I have to do it first. And when I do it, you will have to follow what I have given as an order to the organization. So he set the ball rolling. There was cost cutting in terms. Those days we didn't have cell phones. So there was a cost cutting. STD booths were provided. You had to go to the booth, call the vendors or outside STD calls, and you were given a limited budget. It went to that extent. I'm talking about 94. So there was a cost control, and the chairman followed it. He himself was going to that STD booth and making STD calls. I mean, it was bad but he wanted to set an example. He said, when I do it, my managers and my people will follow it. And the union had no face. They had to travel by bus to Mumbai. So now what I'm trying to say is the change has to happen at the top. I can't be giving orders to my team to do X, Y, Z and not follow myself. That's not a value-based management. The value base has to come from the top. And then when I set the example, I can show it to others that yes, as an organization, we do this. So I think so that's crucial, Nidhi, that whoever is your client, or for that matter, your subject of business coaching, that person has to bring in the change. And then only you can bring out things that will happen. There are examples, other examples also, where people have demonstrated changes and they have done it. And they have been successful.
So this is a culture from top to bottom.
It has to happen from the top. It has to up. It's not a bottoms down approach. It has to be top down.
Yeah,
I have to show the example.
Perfect. And I think especially with the companies who are from the family and then they go for listing process.
Yeah.
That's a major chunk where a lot of transformation happens, whether it is environment, whether it is books, accountings, and then later on with the branding part as well.
No, like a very sensitive topic of sexual harassment policies. Like if you look at that section today, I mean, the government has given Vishaka guidelines excellent documentation, excellent policy manuals available. But how many organizations across the country can stand and say, I am a role model for this implementation of the policy? It's a very value-based question that I ask organizations, that can you put your hands up and say, I'm the best in the country?
They lose
And
their
I've
focus
implemented,
because
and
of
I'm
that.
very transparent. I'm very transparent on my policy. Yes, I had 6 cases reported. I'm doing 3 inquiries. 3 have been closed. Matter for 2 cases, we have suspended the employee, or we have taken action against the inquiry. This kind of transparency, if I'm able to put it on my website, what an example it could be. It's a value-based organization. That organization will have the best diversity ratio in the country if we can do it. So these are things which you have to tell us. And today we are talking about carbon neutral. How many of us can proudly say that, okay, we follow these practices and that's how we are carbon neutral today? I mean, software companies can proudly say that because they don't generate any emissions. So of course there is air conditioning and heating, ventilation that happens, but they are very, very well managed in terms of this aspect. But how many manufacturing organizations can stand up and say, yes, our pollution controls are within the limit. We are proud to achieve this result. So these are all culture. This is all value-based that comes in. And I think so that can only come if we are able to stand up and demonstrate it from top down. That's most important aspect.
Right. So thank you so much for your session.
Welcome.
Yash, are you there? Hi, Yash.
Yash has got
So
some
that's
commitments.
fine. Yeah. Actually, he's a part of Expo also there. So, which is running in Dubai. So
Okay. Oh yeah, that's a big event.
that's a big event. He's the part of the project which is being built there. So with that note, I would like to thank you from behalf of Brainciti team and everyone out here. For me also, it was like, eye-opener, and yes, it was lovely listening to your points. The 14 points have made myself in my diary, and that's the experience and expertise you carry. It is amazing to have you, and thank you so much on behalf of Brainciti, Yash, Faisal, and everyone. So there's a small token of appreciation, which
thank you so much. Thank you. After a long time, I got one. Thank you so much.
You're always welcome. Stay connected. You will keep on having more.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, so with that note,
bye.
Happy Bhai Dooj to everyone, and let's end the session. See you guys tomorrow with fun family.
Thank you.
Yeah.